So Ava's favorite thing in the whole wide world is for you to sit on the floor, because that means she can get on your lap. She absolutely loves to be held, but she is extremely skittish and afraid of the dogs. So she can only do this if you are in the bedroom. There's hair all over you. If you go in the bedroom where the gate's blocked off and the dogs can't get in there, or if you come in the kitchen because the dogs can't come in here. So she loves to soak up the attention. And this is her favorite. On the floor, on your lap. Grow, little seeds. Grow. Yeah. So that right there just killed one of our chickens. Do you see the brown duck anywhere? It might be because I don't see the other brown duck. Alright, so we just lost a duck to that right there. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the duck.
Take it. My favorite duck.
It's not going very far because it wants its lunch. Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So it has been a very busy week. First of all, it got really cold this week. So we've been dealing with the frozen everything and hauling buckets of water out there because everything's frozen. And just makes chore time a little more chore time in the mornings around here. And then I have been cooking and photographing and filming and all of that stuff like a maniac this week. And getting all sorts of recipes up and scheduled to publish over the course of the next several days because I am going to be going out of town. I'm going to be headed to North Carolina for a very quick trip to go see my 2 children who live out there. Joshua, who is stationed at Fort Bragg with the Army, and my daughter, who lives there in North Carolina as well. And while I'm there, I'm going to head on up to see Mama, and so it's going to be a quick trip, but it's going to be a fun one. So real quick, I just want to talk to you about something that I have had several people ask me about now, and that is about planting time. First, I've been asked, how do you know when to plant things? And then secondly was, do you start all of your seeds indoors? Do you start some outdoors? How exactly do you know how to plant everything? And so I just wanted to share a tool that I use, and I have mentioned this several times in the past, but I don't think I've mentioned it recently. And so those of you who are new to my channel, maybe you're just getting started gardening or you want to get started gardening, this will be a great resource for you. And as always happens, the dogs are now wrestling in the living room, so if you hear some strange noises, that would be them. So first of all, I keep a gardening journal, and basically it's just a notebook where I keep track of all of the seeds that I buy, where I get them from. I will write down how certain varieties did for me, whether they were great, whether they were not so great, and it's just a great way of keeping track of all of the things that we do for the garden. One of the things I have tucked in here is the blueprint for the greenhouse that we are at some point going to build. It should be a fall 2020 project, but it will be a wood frame greenhouse, and it'll have a corrugated metal at the bottom, and then it'll have the corrugated fiberglass on the top to create the greenhouse. First of all, one of the things that I have here in my garden journal, and I actually have the pages marked with some of that colorful tape so that I can find it easily, and that is the schedule. I have here a chart of everything that I plant, basic variety, you know, like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, eggplant, potatoes, all of that stuff. And what I have done is I have it organized by chronological order. So I have this for the spring garden and as well as the fall garden. And again, it's all in chronological order. It just makes it easy for me to have it that way. And the way I came up with this is I went to a website, and there's several websites that have this. This just happens to be the one that I came across first, and I find it very easy to use, and that is garden.org. Now, when you go to the website, up on the top, there's a little drop-down menu, and you will see like apps or tools, or it might even say planting calendar. And what you do is you select that page, you put in your zip code, and first of all, it will tell you exactly what gardening zone that you are in, and then it will give you the calendar of everything that you would plant and when you would plant it for your specific area. Now, it has everything listed alphabetically, as far as there's a list for the spring garden and a list for fall gardening, and they have all the varieties in alphabetical order. And I had printed that out in the past, but I found with having it in alphabetical order according to the variety, I occasionally would miss something and realize, oh my goodness, I'm past the window that I should have planted that. Which in the springtime here, that's fine, because we've got a really long growing season, so if I don't get stuff in right away, there's still plenty of time for it, although it gets really hot in the summer, but it's never really too late to start spring stuff as long as it's still springtime. Now, of course, in the autumn, in the fall, that is more of a challenge because you are running out the clock. There's only so much time that you have before the frost comes. And so I just basically sat down with my printed list that I had printed off of the website, and I organized it according to chronological order. So for example, I'll show you the beginning of the spring planting schedule. Now, please ignore my handwriting. It's atrocious, but I can read it and that's all that matters. So for my area, Garden Zone 7B, from January 17th to 24th, that is when I would start onion starts indoors. And then from January 24th to February 7th, that is where I would start indoors things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, and all sorts of things like that. And again, I have the dates right here and what I would start and where I would start it. And then scrolling down here to the February-March time frame, this is when I could also plant onion starts, but this time I would do it outdoors. And so this is set up for me according to exactly where I live. Again, I have 3 columns. I have the date, the time frame, I have the variety, and then I have what I'm doing, whether it's being planted or started indoors, if it's being direct sowed in the garden beds, or with a T, that means transplanted. So there are things that I might be starting indoors up here, and then I transplant them later on, and so I have a T for that. And I put a little colored line just to make it easy for me to spot, and that way it's just easy. So this is a system that works really well for me. I find it easy, and it didn't cost me anything to do. It just was a little bit of time putting this together. There are other websites or charts that you can find online. There's even this little gardening slide card that shows you something similar as far as the time frames, the dates, and everything for according to where you live. I think it's called the Clyde's Garden Planner or something like that. I've seen a number of people talking about it. So I had been asked if I start everything indoors, and I definitely don't start everything indoors. There's certain things that you direct sow in the ground. Things like lettuces and root vegetables. Some plants just don't transplant well, and so you would just direct sow them in your garden bed, wherever it is you plan on growing them permanently. And then other things do transplant well, things like pepper plants and tomatoes and things like that. And those sorts of plants I will actually start in a couple of weeks when I get to that window of time, and I will get those started here indoors as well. So I hope that answers your questions as far as how to know when to plant things and whether you should start them indoors or not. Again, the website that I use is garden.org, and you can check that out and get all this information for free. So that is it for today. I am going to finish up my laundry that I have going in the laundry room and start getting packed up and ready to head out in the morning for my quick trip to North Carolina. So thanks for hanging out with me again today, and I will talk to y'all next time.
We were dancing in the dark with a